We had a great booth, which Victoria really designed magnificently. It looked very nice. Across from Steinway, actually, we had over 200 people visiting our booth, and of course, mainly teachers, and they were very overwhelmed with what we've created.
You are listening to And If Love Remains, a unique show spotlighting people, ideas, science, culture, and art. Your host, Mike Leavitt.
Hey, you are listening to that great podcast in the sky, and if love remains, and I am its humble messenger, Mike Leavitt, and I'm super excited to have Frits van Laarhoven. Did I say that right?
Yeah, almost. Laarhoven.
It's a Dutch name.
Maybe next time. And his lovely wife, Victoria, back on the show. Good friends of the program, and I'm a good friend of their technology. So I'm very excited to have them on to talk. I think one of the things that's always exciting and frightening to people sometimes is technology when it comes to things that, especially in music, as we're so kind of, they have the word conservatory, where you go and you're conserving the old ways and, and all this stuff. So when you start learning new methods or you have new ways of teaching, I think it can, frighten people, but I also think it's a wonderful opportunity. And of course, you guys are the creator of the app Clefer, which is an amazing app that is helping piano teachers, do what they do best and keep their students, doing what they're supposed to be doing and motivated to do such. So thank you for coming back. Really excited to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be back again.
Yeah.
It's so fun. So you guys recently were in Chicago, and
That's correct.
Talk about that little trip and what you guys were doing there.
So yeah. Shall I start or you?
You start. Go ahead. All I can say is that it was amazing and got to meet so many great people, like-minded, innovative
teachers,
students.
Yeah, so this was my first actually both of our first conference, and
in this field, yes.
Yeah, because also we deliberately didn't want to go out to conferences yet until we felt that the product was at a certain kind of quality level that we wanted to meet. Because we're very we demand a lot from ourselves, but also of the product that we create. So so we kept our cards close to our chest and only wanted to go out when we felt it was the right time. And I think it was the right time because we had a showcase we went to the NCKP in Chicago, which is organized by the Francis Clark Institute. And it was a wonderful experience. We did a showcase whereby we had about 45 minutes time to explain, the past 8 years of developing Clefer and why it was only now that we, feel comfortable of sharing it with the world. But again, quality is for us an important thing. So that was the main reason. And then we had a great booth, which Victoria really designed magnificently. It looked very nice. Across from Steinway, actually. And we had over 200 people visiting our booth. And of course, mainly teachers. And they were very overwhelmed with what we've created. I was there with Victoria. Alini, our mutual friend, was there, a great pianist.
We had team members.
And we had other Clefer team members there. We were a young, fresh group of, enthusiastic, people that love doing what they're doing. And I guess that was contagious because, even when the booth was not really, being visited, we were still, as we're always doing within our team, we were having laughs and good moments. So
people would come.
And then people would come. So yeah, it was a great experience, and they loved the application.
And we were always the last ones to leave the hall because people were lining up to talk to us and see what we are building and to hear, who are you guys? And we were telling our story and what drives us and what's the inspiration and what we're trying to build. And they were so touched by it and that people were lining up. It was super nice. And everybody left the hall and we were still there giving demos and chatting and making this wonderful also networking. So it was really, really amazing.
That's incredible. That's wonderful. By the way, I have to ask, and sorry for the, sometimes my mind goes boop, but I have to ask Victoria, how are your piano lessons going?
It's going great. It's really going well.
Good.
I really enjoy it. I do use Clefer too.
She uses a so what else can you do you expect?
Yeah.
Of course.
And I have an amazing teacher, and she is super eager to use technology as a tool to enhance her lessons. So she's always showing me, oh, this is what you should do, and this is what you should improve, and this is what you should add in the app. This would be amazing. But she's so passionate about what she does, and she gives such valuable input to help us continue, building and improving this application. So we are passionate people, but it's also wonderful to work with people that are so passionate about what they do, especially when it comes to teaching. You really need to love what you do to make something unique and wonderful, and that people, when I have lessons, I come home, after work, and I want to practice immediately, and I keep doing it, and I do it every day because I'm motivated, and that's the feeling we want to keep going and plant in people's,
Yeah.
that you are making progress, the feeling that it's worth practicing. It's horrible in the beginning, but if you have the right push, you keep going.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
That's beautiful. And I love, I love the integration that you're talking about between the teacher and the technology, because I think that, that's really what you guys have focused on is, really it's about building a relationship and using technology to, help facilitate that relationship between teacher and student. What have you noticed, Victoria, with your teacher? Like how has Clefer really helped keep you motivated? What are maybe some of the not technical but the specific aspects of it that really help you?
From my teacher and from what I have experienced also using the app, being a tester myself, there's this gap of in between lessons, and what happens then? And I can speak freely with my teacher because we are also doing this together. She also knows that I also go there to practice and to learn and, drain as much as information as I can from her, absorb everything. So we can speak freely. And she tells me, she says, I know when a student comes here, they look into my eyes and they say, yes, I did practice. And then they start playing and I just know that they didn't practice at all.
Right.
Because it's worse than how they walked in the last week. And she said, I don't get pissed or angry, but it's frustrating for them to see them like that. I see that they get frustrated with themselves because, yeah, it's a lie. It is a lie.
Yeah. Well,
and it also feels like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why don't they feel motivated? Why are they not engaging? So, and that's when Clefer, our app, steps in. It just keeps you going. You go home and you get a feedback. It's so lonely when you have your book and you sit down behind the piano and I'm playing. And so I had to do that right in the beginning because I didn't know anything. And until I could use Clefer. And before that, sometimes I would go to her the next lesson And she said, yeah, but you were playing it wrong here and there. And that's a feedback you only get 1 week after. And because I have weekly lessons, but there are people that only have lessons once a month or twice a month.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that you wait all that time to get a feedback on how you're playing? And that you learn and then you realize I've been playing wrong all along. And with Clefer, it tells you immediately, hey, hold on a second, your rhythm is off. Or maybe let's just focus on your left hand right now, or on your right hand. And this is what's happening. Maybe let's take it easy. Let's do it slower. You're trying to run before you can walk. That's not how it works when you're playing an instrument, when you're playing piano.
Yeah, that's, and as a teacher, I can relate to that so much. It's so, Fritz, it's so frustrating because I will tell every single one of my students, like, the last thing I want is for you to be frustrated for a week. Like, I'm so pleased. So I give them my phone number. I say, call me. I will send you videos. I will do anything so that you will feel motivated, so that you will come prepared for the lesson. And the time I can count on one hand the number of times I've gotten a call and said, hey, can you help me out? But I can count numerous times when they haven't practiced and they haven't prepared, or they prepared incorrectly. And so I think, this is where I think the genius of Clefer really is, Fritz. I think it's just such a beautiful companion, to help that work.
Well, and that was maybe you touched upon the subject of technology and teachers. And I mean, we of course did some research, and that's why of course we also asked teachers to help us, and give us input. But one of the things that I learned again when we were at the NCKP, the teachers, they had amongst themselves a few workshops whereby they discussed about what do they see as opportunities. They shared experiences in playing and teaching piano, but also the threats. And many of the threats we already identified when we did our like a research, but it was validated again. A lot of teachers feel very threatened by technology. They feel threatened for several reasons. First, the foremost reason is that they say, oh, this is going to cost us business. You have AI and all these apps, and it's already difficult enough to make a living. And now these, applications, they pop up like mushrooms out of the ground. And how are we going to compete with them? AI is a term that a lot of teachers will run away from because they say it's not personal. It's going to replace us. But they also amongst themselves know the value that they give as persons. It's teaching is just not something through an instrument, and that's really the pillars on how we build Clefer. We don't use AI. There's no AI that is shown within Clefer, etc. We It's really built as an extension for teachers. So we don't replace them. We don't touch upon music theory for beginners. We stay away from that. We leave that to the individual teacher, but we still like to give the teacher a platform to keep their students motivated. So that's where your technology comes in, because nowadays everyone is on these technical devices, but it's really catered, and I think it will do fine because it's not only to Chicago. I mean, we are from Holland, so in Europe, but we spoke with people from Asia, UK, South America. It's a common issue that teachers find it difficult to motivate their students, and also what are we going to do with this enormous amount of technology and AI driven stuff coming towards us. So
yeah,
I think Clever balanced that out very well to really work for the teacher rather than against
the teachers. Yeah.
Well, and I think anybody like, and I understand the fear, because I'm a songwriter and a composer as well. So like, you see all, Suno and all these, AI apps that are coming out that are making music, and you think like your initial thought is always, is this going to replace me? But then when you dig in and you have the courage to actually look and see what it's doing, I think you'll find that it's far inferior to a live person, and it goes the same with teaching. You cannot replace AI cannot replace what a teacher can do for a student.
Yes.
And I'm speaking specifically for like piano and voice, which is what I kind of focus on. And piano, you have to have somebody there, sometimes literally holding your hand, making sure that you're doing things correctly, and you just can't have that. So I really admire, and as I've played with the app, I mean, I'm number one, I admire like the vision and what you guys are doing, but number two, I am super impressed with the technology that you put together. The fact that it can recognize wrong notes, that it can recognize consistently wrong rhythm, things like that. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and that was very interesting. That was a nice compliment also, and I find it more important for my team because they have, we have certain people on the team that have been with us for 8 years. And so it was a nice, at least compliment for them also to see the teachers using the application. One of the things,
external.
yeah, because so when teachers would visit the booth, we had a piano there, and of course, as you know, Clefer works with a MIDI keyboard, but it also works acoustically on any piano.
Right.
But for the demo, to make an impact, I always had the iPad connected with a keyboard, with a cable. So when teachers came in, all the teachers wanted to have a demo. They started to play around. They really liked the app. They liked the Clever coach and the feedback. And then at the end, they said, we just wish that this would have been for an acoustic instrument. And then I said, but that's no problem. And then I removed the cable and they used it again and it worked also acoustically. And that's that technology. Most teachers, they have acoustic instruments and they don't like a digital instrument. So if an application would only work with a digital instrument, they're not interested anymore.
Right.
And I think that's also one of the reasons why it took us 8 years before we felt comfortable showing it to the world. Because making a technology whereby you can capture acoustic sounds, without getting corrupted data is a difficult task. But we feel very comfortable, and teachers were very, very impressed with the technology. I mean, we had Steinway next to us, and I mean, they had front row seats of all the people that visited our booth. They came in a bit, what is this new application technology? And when they turned around, they all walked away with a smile, and Steinway was the first thing to see that. And then on the last day of the conference, Steinway came to us and they said, well, we would like to see what you guys have going on because you had most visitors of all the booths and what's going on. And then we actually used the app on one of their acoustic Steinways and it worked perfectly.
No, that's amazing. And I've only used it with my acoustic piano. So, I'm a MIDI, when I play in bands, I play on MIDI all the time. So I'm not afraid of MIDI, but there's nothing like a real piano. There's nothing like it.
and just the sound of it is so perfect.
Yeah.
So much soul to it.
And one of the things that the teachers liked, of course, and that is really the differentiator. So you have other applications out there that also, so they only make I just call it like an assessment. So you play notes, and then most applications, they either color it red if you played it incorrect and green if you played it correct. And that's the assessment. And that's where all of the other applications ends. And that's where Clever begins. Because we don't only color red or green notes. No, we have the Clever coach and we give context.
Why they're red.
We give context behind the problem. And that is what all the teachers said, wow, we've never seen this. If you play, and you should give it a try, if you play a song 1 octave too high, we don't criticize you for saying, hey, you played this incorrect. We know that you played it an octave too high. So the app will tell you, you know what, you actually played the right keys, but in the wrong octave. Or if you played one note consistently incorrect, and we know that it's, for instance, because you missed a flat or a sharp. We're not going to tell you for each note you played it incorrect. No, Clever is able to see, hey, you know what? This was a sharp that he might have overlooked because it's inconsistent. It's consistently that note. So then we just tell you, you know what, you probably missed the sharp. So it's not just a red note that doesn't tell you anything. It tells you if you just missed it, if you are too fast, too slow, wrong octave, key signature errors, flats, sharps that you've missed. It goes into great detail, but it tells you that. It just doesn't, not just colors, because that is not meaningful for a student by himself at home.
Right, right.
It explains to you what it is you did wrong, and it will give you a recommendation to solve it.
No, that's beautiful, because you're right. Just seeing that you played the wrong note doesn't tell you what the right note is.
Exactly.
It is brilliant, and the coaching is, and I do like it because you guys cater to the student even in the coaching.
That's correct. So the coaching is very tailored to motivate students. And that was really the biggest input, of course, from the teachers. Of course, students make mistakes, but we don't put them down because of it. Because if you do that, they will never progress. So we keep motivating them. And that's how we also formalized, or that's how we formulate the messages. Of course, we tell them if they did something wrong, and we will tell them how to improve it. But if we see that the last time you played 99 wrong notes, and this time you played 98 only, that's progress. So we'll tell you, you know what, you did it better than last time, but there's still work to do. So that's how we try to do it.
That's great. How many languages are you guys in now?
So we have, of course, it's English. We have US and UK, because in music there is a lot of differences.
Oh yeah, we don't have crotchets here.
No, exactly. And so we have that. We have for our friend Aline, we worked on Portuguese. I know that Spanish is in. Spanish and French, and we will roll it out to, and we also have Japanese actually.
Okay.
So, we're rolling it out to, most common languages.
Fabulous. That's fabulous. We talked, a couple of months ago, I guess, but what new developments or because being in technology, there's always the improving what you have, and then, having more, more things that it can do. Let me say it that way, I guess.
You mean what I said to you last time? Standing still is not an option.
Right, exactly. Precisely.
Yeah.
So
it's not a threat, it's a promise. Yeah, we will keep going.
Where have you been running to in the last few months?
Makes the best piano.
What are some of your developments?
I think that
we have been doing several marathons. So
than just
like I said, we have been working with the music publishers to getting licensed songs. We're talking with some music associations that we are very close with, so we can add more content. Like ABRSM, Faber. So the educational contents like that.
Oh, yeah.
After we spoke with Steinway, they were very impressed that they actually invited us to Scottsdale to host an exclusive Steinway event. And so we're going to do that somewhere in the middle of October. And and we're working, of course, on the technical side of things to, keep on rolling out new technical features. We're working on a teacher module whereby teachers can manage their students. So now currently Clefer is there to keep them motivated. We're adding features so that teachers get, updates whilst the student is not with them. They can assign homework. They can see how they're doing. If the teachers have some time, they can give some input, which the students then can also see. Mm-hmm. So and it's all that's what we're working on.
Well, like for me, like I always, one of the things I've done with my students, and if they do it, it works. But what I would do is I just have them have a journal, just say, and I would be like, I don't even care what you say. I think I lost your feed maybe. I would say
the video will be back.
Okay, no problem. I would say I don't even care what you write here. I just wanted to know that you practice, and I want like a one sentence, like it went well. I struggled with this, like just one thing. And students who just did that one thing, improved more than anybody else. But it's hard to get them to do that.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. It's a struggle. So tell me about, how do you keep your students motivated?
Well, it's always a struggle, but I think, especially in the beginning, I'll contact the parents, a couple of times during the week just to see how they're going and seeing if they're struggling. And then, but you can't do that all the time with all your, I have close to 30 students now. And so it's difficult to do that every week. So having a place, a central place that I can just see, are they practicing or are they not? It's huge. I also, I really focus on trying to give them songs that they want to play. I try to teach them the blues scale really early so that they want to just even sit at the piano and play nothing but the blues, just anything that would makes it more fun. My philosophy is that you don't work piano, you play piano. So that's really, I guess it's my personality that tries to keep them motivated more than anything. But ultimately it's up to them, and it's up to them, and it's up to the students or up to their parents. Sometimes the parents crack the whip. And sometimes, sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. It's just every kid is different, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe it depends on the personality of the students.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing for me is just making sure that they have, music that they want to play, that they want to play for their friends. I'll say, hey, what would you want to show off to? And they'll say, this Bruno Mars tune or something like that. And so I make sure I throw that stuff in. And usually you can find, a version that's at their level, even at, beginner note level, you can find a version. And that helps.
And that's what we also, and that is a quality standard that we have. So we are working and we're making them, all the arrangements in Clefer we make ourselves. We have arrangers in-house because we want to make sure that the quality is good.
Yeah.
We will also make sure that we will not destroy the DNA of a song. So I know that there are certain, that there are songs like a pop song that, for instance, already has in its basic, standard composition, maybe it's a hard song. Maybe we can bring it down to a medium level, but maybe it's not possible to bring it down to such an easy level without ruining the actual DNA of a song. Sometimes you see those songs flying around that just because people with a little experience want to play it, they actually ruin the, how the song should be like. And we won't do that. So we will try, but we will not diminish, the qualities of the song. So there will be certain songs for certain maybe people that we don't have. But then Clefer will help them anyways to get to that level. But that is a quality, that we just don't want to let go.
Yeah, I think that's really important because making sure that, as you said, the DNA of the song or the piece is there is really important. There's lots of versions of Moonlight Sonata that, and kids love to play it, because it's cool and it's interesting and it's kind of playable. And then, and then you get an easy version of it or a simplified version of it. And it's just like not the same piece. I think with a lot of pop tunes and stuff, that I think the difficult thing is a lot of them are so syncopated because they try to make it exactly to what the voice is doing. And the singer's always, coming in before the beat or after the beat, but that's not what people hear. People hear it kind of on the beat. And so many times you get these simplified versions that are still difficult because, they'll have all these dotted 16th with ties and everything, and I think sometimes it's more complicated than it needs to be.
Yes.
True.
But like I said, the Clever coach is always there. It will help you. It will hold your hand. It will always give you a new exercise, or a recommendation. If it becomes too hard and we see that you're stuck, and we really see that you, for some reason, at that moment cannot really succeed, Clever will then recommend you something that is a bit easier to do, but
Yeah,
it still has a connection with what you're originally trying. But because it's a little bit easier, the chances of you making, being able to play that are bigger, which then boost your motivation, your confidence, and then will take you back. And that seems to help very well.
absolutely. Yeah, we've been we've been talking mostly focusing on songs and pieces, which I think are that's why people play, is to play these songs and these pieces. But what about things like scales and Hanon and some of these technical skills that are really important, that sometimes you need even more motivation for, because they're not as exciting to play, but they're so vital to a good pianist technical skill.
Yeah, so we actually have already, and we just created them. We have an enormous amount of skills and arpeggios and some other, exercises that will be, added to the application. So also for people, to practice that, but not so much only as a standalone, because like you say, if it's just a standalone skill and you're not playing towards a, goal, it's very difficult for students to keep motivated. But
Right.
if a student picks a song in Clever, then we will automatically recommend you skills and whatever exercises come with it. Still boring, maybe, but at least you know that it's for a good cause, because it will help you to play your song at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. I was just before the podcast, I was with a student, and he's learning the second movement of Moonlight Sonata, actually, and it's in D flat, and he was struggling, and I said, well, let's play a D flat major scale. Let's just play that back and forth, 5 or 6 times, get it under your fingers, and he did that. And just by doing that scale, it kind of grounded him in that key, and he was able to play it a lot better. And I think just, having that, like, seeing how the scales and those technical skills actually apply to a piece, that's actually quite brilliant. That's important.
Yeah.
Good
So
foundation, yeah.
now we have we don't sleep a lot, but that's not a problem, because that will give us more time. But yeah, there are great things that are coming for Clever, like I said, and also for the user. So we'll have an enormous amount of repertoire that people can play and choose from. Like we're working with these music associations to also offer the more educational content. I think the event with Steinway is going to be very nice. There are a few other little tricks up our sleeves that, if your listeners will, follow Clever and look on the our Instagram page, website in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we will make some very nice announcements that I think they will
Nice.
love. Yeah, and maybe, Mike, the most important thing, also for your teachers that are listening. Clever is free for teachers. We'll give the premium version for Clever for free to your teacher, because we understand how important it is, and vital. So like I said, we really want to do something for the teacher community. So yeah, that's gonna be that's something that we want to do for them. So I think, with that,
That's tremendous.
they really have a nice tool to use with their students.
That's really.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Victoria.
I said that's our vision, really. Our vision to build this is to create something impactful and meaningful to this community, and to help people fall, that's what we say, fall deeper in love with the piano, and keep people coming to play this instrument, so beautiful, and to be used as a tool.
Yeah, it's
We sat down with those teachers at in the conference, and we heard their stories and we heard their struggles, and that actually gave me and you such a huge boost to keep on going and to know that we are on the right track and that we are building something that is meaningful and impactful and that it makes a difference. It does. The world is so different now, and but still we are not replaceable. Teachers are not replaceable.
Yeah. No, and I think as much as the world changes, I think two things happen. I think number one, like great art and specifically great music is timeless, and it speaks, through all eternity. It really just and that's that you like being able to share that art and share that communication. I mean, that's what's meaningful to me. It's being able to say something that you can't say, in words.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is that I think there is a deep yearning for people to get back to the basics. As we're bombarded with social media and as we're bombarded with all this technology and all this new and innovative stuff, there is a desire for people to get back to basics. And again, I think that's where Clefer kind of has a sweet spot where, while it is a technology, it's helping you to get back to, what music really is. And music is more than just like being able to play a technical piece or something like that. It's about saying something that's true that you can't say.
Well, that's actually that was one of the things that stayed with me after that workshop with the teachers in the NCKP. All together, they wrote down on a big piece of cardboard that they've put on the wall as a result, they said, and I took a picture of it because that is really, it sums it all up. They say music gives us a voice when we feel voiceless. And so, yeah, that's it.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's what they say.
It's exactly right. And I think, what's unique about music, and I think piano specifically, because the piano, hasn't changed in how many, 150 years. But like when we're playing these pieces, it's as if we're, speaking the voice of Chopin, speaking the voice of, Liszt and Beethoven and such. And there isn't even another art that really does that, that where you can actually like get into a composer's soul and feel that art, and that's what makes it really, really timeless. And
yeah, and that's why, they always say music is that universal voice that needs no translation.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you come. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, so it was very nice, especially that trip to Chicago a few weeks ago, because it validated a lot of what we already saw, and we got a lot of motivation to keep on going.
Yeah.
Teachers using the app, and like I said, between now and the end of the year, all kinds of things will be happening. So yeah, great times ahead.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited because you are coming to my neck of the woods. You're coming to Scottsdale. And
Yeah, we're coming to see you now.
And I'm excited to meet you in person. It's going to be wonderful. And I will definitely be there. But I think it's going to be wonderful to have you at Steinway Hall there. Just that's going to be, I'm going to try to get all my teacher friends out there because they need to see what you guys are doing. I think it's really, really important.
Great.
When you're going to be there, October?
Yeah, I need to check. I think it was towards the end of October. So
yeah.
So I think the last weekend of October, something like that. So yeah, I will.
We'll get. I'll get with Eleni and we'll put that in the show notes.
Let's do that. Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be a tremendous thing for me to meet you guys and to be, to hang out and and then to see the presentation that you put forward. And I think like obviously anything you guys add to the app, I think is going to be wonderful because I know the care and the just like you don't want to take away the DNA of a song. You know what your core is, and you want to do it correctly and do it right. So I'm excited to see what new things happen. But I think most of all, I'm most excited to see more music, because I think if there is one weakness is just you just need more music on that app. And you have a lot there, but I think that's going to be tremendous.
Yeah. No, and again, but and that is coming. We just had to do it the right way. There are certain, I mean, there is another way to do it, and that's just to add the music, and then the publishers start to attack you. We wanted to do it the right way, so we went to them up front, of course, first. But yeah, they are big companies, Universal, Sony, they're not small, they're not the smallest. So
takes a lot of negotiation, I'm sure.
Takes that and time, but we're very close. So by the time we get to Arizona, we will have all that music for the users in the application.
By the way, I wanted to ask you, because as I'm just thinking about this now, it's kind of dawning on me the amount of work you have to do to add any music. Like, maybe explain like that process a little bit. If you get a piece of music, or if you get a book of music, like what does that look like from your end to turn that into what's on the page to somebody where you're going to have a coach and you're going to have like, what is that all about?
Yeah, so that's not it's not an easy path. So when it comes to the majority of the licensed songs, we create them really from scratch, because we have licenses to use the song, but we don't want to infringe on maybe any arrangers out there. So we are really creating our own arrangements, and then once we have that song, we need to compose the song. We have guidelines for it to have it in 2 or 3 different difficulty levels if the songs allow it, like I told you, without ruining the DNA structure of the song. And then once we have that, we play the song so that we also have a good example of how it should be, so that people can listen to a good preview. And then we also make our guided practice path, whereby we break up the songs into sections and lessons and exercise. You don't play the full song. We break it down into left hand, right hand, rhythm. This is done with teachers. So, and then we have quality control. So it's not an automated system. There's no AI. It's all done by people, and it's checked by people before it's approved. So you can imagine, yes, it's taking a bit longer to get the songs into the app, but you can only do it right once. I mean, if we would, just because we know people would like to see more songs, and if we would go too fast, the chances of ruining your database and getting not so good quality songs is very big. And then in a year from now, when you have a few thousand pieces in your application, it's going to be a terrible task to fish out and clean it up. So we rather do it a bit slower, but absolutely from a fantastic quality perspective, than too fast. But yeah, it's a tedious work, but we do it because we stand behind the quality.
Yeah, no, I think it's you guys are the Steinway of piano apps. You're handcrafted. I
think there are synergies, and I mean like they and I don't want to speak on their behalf, but we try to put on a very nice warm brand. And the enormous interest that we had, like I said, they had front row seats we didn't pitch anything. I mean, people came and they left smiling. So yeah, I think there are synergies there.
Yeah, and I think and I have appreciated that just with my interactions with you and my interactions with your app. I mean, it's all, you guys are the same in the sense that you're very transparent, very very warm, but the quality is just top notch, and I think that's really important. And you mentioned so you have, I guess, 2 different tiers. You have a free tier and then a premium tier.
Yeah. So so we have a free tier. So there will be one tier that is always for free. We don't do trials because we know that our users don't like trials. So they can just open an account and then they get a sense of what Clever is. They can play around. We give them a few songs with features. And then there are two tiers that they can subscribe to. The first one is just with the public classical domain songs and of course all the features of Clever. And in that tier, you have the option to buy a la carte songs, licensed songs. And that's going to be $10 a month. And for $15 a month, you will get all of that, but then also like an all-you-can-eat subscription, all the licensed songs and all the future licensed songs will be in there for $15 a month. So, yeah.
That's incredible. What a value. I mean, that's an incredible value, especially knowing the quality of the work. You know, I think it's really. I guess that's the other thing. You know, when we talk about, you know, any other of your, I don't really think you have a competitor, but anyone that would consider you a competitor, you know, one of the great weaknesses is the quality of the music, the quality of, you know, what you're looking at. I mean, everything is feels like a toy compared to you guys. You guys actually feel like a tool. You know, that's helpful.
Yeah, and again, you know, and we want to bring value, and you know, I guess you've seen the app; it's free now. I guess you know you understand that our first objective is not immediately, you know, making money here. We want to make a good tool that is from a quality perspective, you know, where it has to be and will really help the industry. And of course, we are a business, and of course, you know, we need to make sure that we are making money, but that will be a consequence if that first part is in order and right, then the rest will come from itself. And that's how we focus. We focus on quality and giving the teacher community and students really something that will be useful. And then I'm confident that the rest will will follow itself.
That's beautiful. What obviously anybody who's interested in the app, they can, you know, go to the Apple Store and, you know, any of their devices and download it. If you mentioned, you know, if you're a teacher, how would they contact you, or how would they go about?
So like I said, until we have the licensed songs ready, it's going to be for free for public domain songs. So any teacher that is going to come in now will be able just to download it for free. And then on the website, once the licensed songs will be in, there will be a link that they can click to identify as a teacher and what they need to do. And then we will give them the access to the premium stuff once the paywall comes in so that they get it for free.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I'm so excited for that. And I know you are too.
Yeah. and maybe the last thing that is actually because I was just thinking, you know, what else am I missing? Anything? One of the things that happened is that Apple is bringing out a new operating system next week.
Okay.
They had their big event at the beginning of this week whereby they launched their iPhones, and we have updated the app to be compatible with their latest operating system, iOS 26, and their entire new design overhaul called Liquid Glass. So it's going to be fully supported as soon as you install iOS 26. Will be one of the first apps that are fully integrated.
Great.
And yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the app already looks great now, but
It's really beautiful.
the new liquid glass system of Apple. So it's rating there as soon as iOS 26 hits for you guys. Upgrade your iPhone, update Clever, and you'll see the new design.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm super excited. I'm very excited to see that new design, and that's wonderful. And by the way, again, like it kind of boggles my mind all the plates you have to keep spinning, you know, because it's not just, you know, not just your app, but it's also you have to like keep yourself compatible with Apple. That's wild.
Yeah,
you guys are doing good work. Well, Victoria, anything you want to add?
I was just thinking when we were talking about, like you said, that the other apps look like toys, etc. that's one thing that we don't really look at. Maybe that's also something that differentiates us from them, is that I see that they are competing with each other and always comparing each other and building based on that. Of, oh, I don't want to have what this one has, and I don't want to be like this, and I don't want to be like that. And I always go with the motto of saying it is so easy to know what you don't want, but it's so hard to know precisely what you want and come up with a list. This is what I want, this is the vision, and this is where we're going. And this is exactly what we have for Clefer. And it's hard. It is hard to keep focus.
Yeah.
To keep going in that direction, even though there are so many things that could maybe take. This is the focus, this is the priority, and this is where we're going, and let's go. So, and that's why we have liquid glass, because we're building this not to look like or to look better than the others. We are just competing with ourselves. And I always go with the motto of saying, if I'm not embarrassed of who we were a year ago, it means we are not making progress. And I am embarrassed of who we were a year ago. And I'm so happy of where we are. Yeah. I'm also so embarrassed of how I started my first piano class, but that's the point. I'm making progress. So it's nice to look back and laugh about it, but see how far we've come. So that's how I go in this company. This is the vision, this is where we're going, and it's fine. Like, oh, but we weren't like this. But that's the whole point. We can make different choices and we can change. Thank God we can change. So
preach. Yeah. Amen, sister. No, that's beautifully said. And that might be a good place to, unless there's anything else you want to talk about. I think
we covered everything.
I think that's wonderful. And I hope, I hope to, maybe we could do something when you're here in town, but I'd love to, have you back on the show. And I love having you guys.
Yeah. We will absolutely meet in person.
You bet.
It'd be wonderful.
Yeah, Lini and Frits. It's going to be fun.
Oh, dude, it's going to be a party.
Mike is gone.
You are listening to And If Love Remains.
Gone but not forgotten.
First of 23 installments requested by Dr. Leavitt. Trying to be in compliance here because we're taking him and that whole organization